Hey, Ram.
What's up, bud?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm fucked up. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So, it's been a while.
Yeah, man, it's been a fucking minute. I missed this place.
By the way, did you see the last episode I did? It was a solo one.
No.
Oh, that one's good. There's
I'm
no
sorry.
video. There's
my
no...
head's been up my ass.
Oh, it's fine. It's just there's no video. It's just an audio. And it was my inspiration was somebody called out that lady Sherry Dindal, the real Slim Sherry.
Yeah.
And so she responded to it. And so I just was like, oh, okay. So let me see everything Gen X is doing to call people out.
Yeah.
And so I did an episode about, and I played the audio and then I just did commentary on it.
Yeah.
And there was some that were just fucking incredible. I would always say, and I titled it Gen X is not the one.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was about. It's all Gen Xers who were just basically telling all like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like, get over yourself, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because they were coming after Gen X. That's why.
Yeah, well, you can't win that battle.
No, it's like, who kept Gen X out of the war? And it's like, Gen X said, fuck you all. And
We fought a culture war.
yeah.
We fought a philosophical and spiritual war. We were the first generation.
Mm-hmm. And you had to deal with all the bullshit. As much bullshit as anyone. And so, it just is
But
what it
also,
is.
like, part of the young generation, I feel like, is just to talk shit about the old generation. I get it now. Like, me and Jamie were having a discussion about it yesterday. Like, even their humor, and we'll save this because there's a lot to talk about, but even their humor is so different and so chaotically stupid. But isn't that kind of how our parents looked at us in the 90s when we were like using slang and growing our hair? Isn't this just the normal generational gap where they think we're out of touch and we think they're a bunch of softies?
Yes.
I don't feel like it's uncommon. It's weird to be in it, but I don't feel like it's uncommon.
I think so. But I think social media and technology just makes it look like this completely different entity than it ever was before.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. And what I mean by that is I think, number one, it's the fact that you don't get a break from social media. Nobody does.
No.
It's always there. It's always ever present. It's always in your face.
Fucking hate it.
And I think it started with our generation with the 24-hour news cycle. And it started because I was actually thinking about something related to this kind of. A lot of people who tend to be conservative. It's not about conservative or liberal.
Yep.
It's just there are people who say we live in a more violent world. And I would say, do we live in a more violent world or do we just have the means to see more violence?
Or is it more broadcasted?
I would say we have the means to see more violence. That would be my take.
I think so. But then I can even grab one little sect of that and be like, well, what about school shootings, though? It is more violent. I think it is. And I understand what you're saying. We definitely are more aware of it. But if we do go back to 99, right, we go back to Columbine, that was like the blueprint for school shootings. That was like they had happened before, but they were so sporadic and random. I think 99, the thing about Columbine was this, and this ties into what you said. This was the beginning of social media. Like what?
Yeah,
that was like pre even MySpace, right?
That was where you could just go and create your own webpage.
Web pages, yep.
And just like
GeoCities and shit.
And literally get MIDI files of like the Rolling Stones and have that be the intro music,
Embedded.
which is just the MIDI files.
So, but I think that there was a turn. I think there was a turn with Columbine and 9/11, where suddenly, because it was so front seat, the violence felt so much more real, and it was hitting closer to home.
I think because
I mean,
so I agree with you in that regard. And we've talked about school shootings and how they existed, but yeah, I think. But if you also relate it back to the coverage of it,
it's
like,
definitely a good part to do.
It was insane. Like, do you remember your friends or you who wore trench coats before all that?
Yeah.
And the reaction just to them being out in public afterwards.
But, bro, listen, man. The trench coat thing's pretty fucking accurate. Like, we can all go back, right?
Yes and no.
Tell me this, okay? Now that I'm older, I've gone back to each of my schools. I've gone back to my 1st through 6th grade school, and I've gone back to my 7th through 12th, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, and now just, you got to tell me if this happens for you too. In both schools, I can pick the school shooter.
So in my school, they wouldn't have worn a trench coat.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know the school shooters.
Like you can find
Yeah.
them now. You're like, oh, it would have been blank. They didn't have access to it. They didn't have fucking guns, thank God, or it wasn't known to be a thing you could do. But there are definitely a couple of kids looking back where you're like, oh.
Well, it's also, and I'm relating this to a joke related to the 90s. It's like Billy Madison, like
Yeah.
when he contacts Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Because he was and he's like almost like he's making amends, and he literally takes him off his to kill list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. And you watch
Yeah.
that and laugh, but
But it's like it's terrifying now.
yeah.
It is terrifying, and we're early in we're doing heavy hitting stuff, but before we even get there, how you been?
How have I been? You know, man, I had a really good year working a job.
Listen,
really
Frank
liked.
wants to know. Frank Reynolds wants to know how you been.
So anyway, he starts blasting, which is accurately to how I've been. You know, man, I was blessed. I had a job. I really
You had
liked.
your comeback story arc.
I did.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was good, man. I focused on what I needed to do, took care of some shit. Got fired 2 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's been about 2, maybe. Might be a little bit longer. Might be a little bit shorter. It all becomes one long day once you're unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and it was it was stupid. What happened was stupid. I'm not gonna be the guy who's gonna get myself into any trouble and sit here and be like, this happened. Who the fuck knows who listens? And with certain businesses, you have to. They made some interesting corporate decisions. They made some choices that definitely didn't reflect the people on the floor in the front of the house, Yeah, and some shit went down, and
It is what it is.
That's all you can do, man.
Yeah.
All you can do is be like, oh, did I see it coming? Not the fuck at all. Were other people I work with shocked? Was it kind of an extreme reaction to something? I think so. But I'll also be an adult and just lay in my bed and be like, yeah, shit happens. The only thing I could really do, and this is what I've been doing, is just keep looking, man. I was working an hour from home, so I was driving 2 hours every day, and that shit's exhausting. I have 8 dispensaries within 5 minutes of my house. If I walk in
Yes, we do.
any direction, there's going to be 5 dispensaries. So what I've been doing, my plan, I personally think it's genius, but who the fuck knows? I've been going to each one, buying something, just like a joint or a fucking whatever, just a little something, a little drink or something, just so I have a reason to go in and be like, hey, can I talk to a manager? And then I'll just bust out a card and be like, yo, I've done this. I've been in the industry for a long time. Even before where I was working, I worked with the Roll With Us guy for 5 years. So I've been in the industry for a long time. I have a lot of insight into it. So all I'm really doing is just going around, shaking hands, looking people in the eyes. I'm old school. Fuck your Indeed. I'll apply on Indeed because that's how the new motherfuckers do it.
Oh, I got 15 on Indeed right now.
Yep. But if I see that it's a local dispensary, I go in, I shake the hand of the owner, I look him dead in the eye, I let him know this is what I do, and I do it fucking well. Listen, no bullshit, like they lost one of their best bud tenders. They did. I loved what I did. I was passionate, and I knew what I was doing. A lot of like Gen Z employees are just sort of, they're at their jobs, man. They're just at their jobs.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They're there, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That wasn't how it was for me. So very stressed, very frustrated. That definitely pulled the ground out from under me a bit.
Yeah.
But I just kept moving, man. Just kept doing it. I've already had one interview. The place went really well. Place is like 6 minutes from my house. So we'll see what happens, Ultimately, the interesting thing is
Missed that.
Clint Eastwood just showed up.
He did.
Yeah, check this out.
Okay. Keep going.
You can take the boy out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the boy. But anyway, where was I? So, which is why I came here, by the way.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, it was fucked for me because I made a new name, and then fucking shit kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
And so for me, you know me well, I get in my head, bro, and I hate myself.
Self-loathing?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
talk for a minute so I can fucking...
Yeah, no, that's fine. To answer, I know it's coming, but Rem probably was going to be like, hey, Bob, how's things going for you? Similar, not to that extreme, but similar. And yeah, I'm just riding the wave. and just seeing where the wave takes me right now, I guess would be the way to put it. But that kind of catches us up. I think big thing we were going to talk about today is we were going to go current because it does relate to people our age.
Yeah.
Does it fair? And we
well,
were...
wait, no, let's go back into
Okay,
it.
we're going to go back.
I'm going to mine back in a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't know about you, Bob, but like when something like that happens to me, I internalize that shit, man. I can't help that.
Well, Rem, I internalize everything. So
yeah, it's one of the reasons you and I get along.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I have to take omeprazole for ulcers, and it's one of the reasons I have like acid reflux, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I'm just, yeah.
So when that shit happened, of course, I was just like doing my best, fighting myself to not get in my head. Just like, Rem, shit happens. You are defined, but you're not defined how you're defined and not how you necessarily take the punch. It's how you take the 1 minute after the punch is what shows your character.
It's not about getting hit and falling down. It's about
getting up, sweaty and beaten.
Yeah, getting back up. You ever seen the movie Cinderella Man? Russell Crowe?
Bro. A masterpiece film.
The guy he fought before the guy at the end who was playing Max Bear.
The guy wouldn't take the fucking dot. He wouldn't.
Like the guy who he was fighting who was younger and all that, and he catches him clean, knocks his mouthpiece out.
Yeah.
And then he thinks about his kids, and then he just goes over with a smile, spits the blood out and picks it up, and you see the look on the other guy's face just drop.
Yeah, terror.
That's what you're talking. That's what he's talking
That's
about.
what you have to do. You have to get the bloody nose. And even like when it happened, my boss, I was like, whatever, blah, blah, came over and talked to me, and he's like, hey man, it was out of my hands. It got to corporate. And I know that it did. It got to corporate because somebody I trusted said it to corporate, though. Let's not just act like things
the game
leak to corporate and then everyone's like, I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, motherfuckers, all of you had nothing to do with it. Word, respect the loyalty. But so for me, but ultimately I had to catch myself immediately and be like, yo, I can't get in my head. Because I go to dark places and I'm immediately like, I have no worth. I won't hurt myself, but I'll humor thoughts of it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'm fucking worthless. So for me, I had to just stay in the fucking ring, bro. I had to keep fucking applying and going and getting up and doing shit every day. That's the one thing I just say to myself is I'm not going to get back in that robe lifestyle where I'm sitting home for a week. Nothing's going to happen to you if you ain't doing
the lights
shit.
are off,
Bro,
and you're like under your covers.
Yeah. Like that's not going to do me any good.
Yeah.
So it fucking sucked. I fight it, but I also think, interestingly enough, and I hadn't mentioned this to you, 2 days before letting me go, they had a meeting, right? Okay. In the meeting, they were like, hey, not to the front. It was to the back of the house, the people who grow, but I've never seen something like this, dude. They were like, hey, you guys fucking suck. You're not yielding enough. You're not making enough. It's not good enough. Listen, company-wide, this really happened, bro. Okay? Company-wide, we're putting raises on hold. This was 1 month before my year when I would get a raise. So there's some shit going on with corporate there that is clearly fucked up. Clearly. Like, to have a demoralizing meeting like that, I saw the whole back of the house, like, kind of be like, oh, cool. What's the incentive for us to work then? If there's no, and they're also like, and we're also putting a freeze on hiring. So you guys better do better. That was 2 days. So there's something going on there.
Do you think it's actual profits, or they just want bigger profit margins?
Bigger profit margins. Because I can tell you that when I started, bro, and this is no bullshit. When I started, your average day there was, they were making $2,000. When I finished, the average day there was 11, dude. I was making like 100 tips a day, bro. It was nuts. So they're just looking, I believe right now at that place, there's a mass firing going on. They're trying to see how many people they can cut to increase the profit margin.
And try to bring in cheaper work.
Yep. Oh, of course.
Yep.
And I mean, the other thing too is like, I'm not going to get into it, but y'all need to make some better business decisions because some of the decisions you're making aren't necessarily legal. Oh. But you know what? We're going to leave it. It's good. Yeah. You guys do fucked up shit and then you let someone go and it's like, I think someone's gonna make a call one day, guys.
I can't talk more about mine, but
I know you
it's
can't.
it's frightening. It's frightening how similar it sounds.
Oh, me and Bob talked, and he hit
Yeah.
me up.
It's
Bob's got a sixth sense with me.
Yep.
He'll always sense when something's off. You know what I'm saying? And I'll get a text at like 11, and it'll be like, "Hey, Rem, hope you're doing well. Are you doing well?" You
Yep.
know? And I'll be like, but he knows, and I'm like, "Nah, man, bullshit happened."
Yep.
And then he's like, "Well, you know what's funny about that, Rem? I have this weird feeling some bullshit might happen to me relatively soon under freakishly similar. Like, we're not getting into stories. We're not telling you anything, but they're freakishly fucking similar.
Mhm.
You got to understand, me and Bob are brothers, so it's crazy. We have the craziest shit in common, but within a week."
Yep.
And you know what we said?
Fucking wild.
Let's talk.
Yep.
Let's fucking cast, bro.
Yeah.
Let's just get some shit off our chest. So that's what's going on with me and Bob.
Yeah, that's what's going on with us.
We're a little fucked up, feeling a little angry, trying to deal with some emotions, but we're good. We're adults, you know? We're here for each other.